Manufacturing business confidence fell to a 6-year low, mainly due to subdued economic demand. The sector is also not foreseeing an uptick anytime soon, as one of the biggest concerns for the sector is a worsening political environment.
Well, earlier, Bronwyn Seaborn caught up with Riaz Haffejee. He's the CEO of Sumitomo Rubber, South Africa, who manufactured Dunlop Tyres in the country, to find out how manufacturers are planning to forge ahead in this tough economic climate.
Political environment certainly does play a big role in investment decisions, and that role it plays is whether it's a risky decision or not to make, and whether you're going to get the return on investment based on the investment you put in now. Having said that, many of the decisions that we make tend to be on things that are in our control. So politics is not necessarily all in our control, but market fundamentals and potential for growth in other markets or channels and development of new products and capability, those things are in our control. So we've taken the view that there are some fundamentals that we can influence. There are some things we can't influence. Politics certainly one of those things we can't influence. We would like it to be a lot better, certainly a lot more stable and a lot more predictable, but I don't think politics will be that way. Certainly not now, and certainly not for the foreseeable future. But having said that, there's still a market out there which requires our investment for us to make the most of it.
You've just invested 2 billion rand in your Ladysmith plant, and it comes at a time when many are skeptical about the political environment in South Africa and the kind of impact this could have on a potential downgrade. And yet, your Japanese investors are seeing potential here. Why?
We were bought by Sumitomo Rubber Industries in December 2013. For us, that was a milestone moment, because as a company that sells majority of our products as Dunlop branded products, 80% of what we sell is Dunlop branded. And Sumitomo Rubber Industries around the world are the leaders in selling Dunlop branded products. So for us, it was almost like coming home. And it meant that we now had access to a lot of deep technical advice, know-how, manufacturing know-how, sales know-how. And although we had done a pretty good job in South Africa and in some of the export markets we worked in, we felt that that was quite a big feather in our cap to have them on our side and to have their expertise with us. So when they saw the potential in our markets, particularly with original equipment, with Africa, and also with some product sectors that we had not competed in before, they understood that an investment was worthwhile. And when we look at how that investment will play out in the next few years, certainly it still makes sense for us. So we're quite confident that it's the right thing to do.
It is a welcome boost to the economy, this investment. How many jobs do you think this will create? In phase one, the 2 billion rand investment was in a phase one and a phase two. The phase one was worth 1.1 billion, and phase two is worth 910 million. In phase one, we've created some jobs already, but the overall investment will yield more than 300 jobs in the next 3 years, particularly with the addition of a new factory that's going to now make truck and bus radial tires. The manufacturing sector as a whole has been under pressure. In January, output was down 2.5%. Are you seeing a similar situation play out in your factories?
Well, the tire business is a bit of an interesting business, because in different sectors of the tire industry, the importers play a different role. So one of the things that's been on our side is, from a manufacturing point of view certainly, is that the rand has devalued significantly. And that's provided us with a little bit of breathing space in terms of having more demand from locally manufactured tires. Certainly in our case, we've seen an uptick in locally manufactured tires because of a drop in imported demand. And these are figures that came out from the South African Tire Manufacturing Conference, the industry body as well. So from our point of view, we've not necessarily seen a drop in manufacturing output. We are pretty steady compared to where we were last year. And certainly if the things go according to the plan that we have, we should see a steady rise in output.
You mentioned the rand possibly helping you out. Rubber prices have also been depressed over the last little while. But are you seeing the rand wipe out some of the gains that you should be benefiting from this depressed rubber price?
True. Rubber prices have been coming down for a good few years now. And that has quite a big impact in certain categories of tyres. In the category of tyres we make, it represents only a small portion of the total cost of the raw material, but still, it does have a role to play. The other thing that's been in our favour for a while is the oil price, because there is a large component of carbon black that goes into a tyre, and that's derived from crude oil. Unfortunately, the declines in the rand have actually pushed the rand price of raw materials up rather than having them go down. So we've had a different set of circumstances in our industry from that point of view. And that pressure of the rand has now gone into movements in pricing to retail.
In the most recent budget speech, there was mention of a tyre levy, which will come into effect in October, but there wasn't much detail given about how this will work. Could you give us some insight into how this could affect both consumers and manufacturers?
Sure. The manufacturers have been making, or the Department of Environmental Affairs through their waste tyre plan, that's been out since 2012 and implemented since the end of 2012. So that has put an obligation on manufacturers and importers, so the source of the tyres, a R2.30 per kilo levy on each tyre that's imported or manufactured, each tyre that's sold locally. And that's been in place, as I say, since probably the start of 2013. Now that levy has been paid traditionally to the company that does the waste management, which is Redisa at the moment. And I think what the government is doing now, or what SARS is doing through the Treasury, is making sure that that money goes through SARS and not directly to the company that's managing the waste tyre program. So it's a shift in where the payment goes to rather than a new levy that's there. And certainly as much as possible, that levy has been absorbed by manufacturers, but it's been passed on, essentially it's been passed on to consumers already.
So if I understand you correctly, there's no impact on consumers?
It's the same levy that's been in place already, and when that came out in 2013, we had already had a price increase at that time to accommodate that levy. So it's just a shift in the payment of the levy.
So no material kind of cost
We
at
don't
all?
expect any material costs, no.